Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Monday morning the 6th of May and I'm going to stick with the Sebastian Rogers case once again. There are no updates from law enforcement regarding the potential sighting in North Carolina. I'm so anxious for law enforcement to come out and say something about that potential sighting. It's potentially huge. If they do find out who that young boy is and it's not Sebastian, I think it will dishearten a lot of people, but at least we'll know. Anyhow, in this video, I want to talk about the new spokesperson for Seth Rogers. He did an interview with Justin on TikTok, although on YouTube. Yesterday, so I want to talk about that a little bit, and I want to talk about the people who are leaving this case and why that might be. Let's go. Okay, so the new spokesperson, Tony Mathis, has a new strategy, and I get it. I do get it. That Seth coming out and, being really hot-headed and going on panel after panel after panel, and some of the things that he's come out with, perhaps he's regretted later, talking about Sebastian's prior abuse, talking about the pull-ups. Sebastian actually comes home, and he's alive. Those things being out in the world are out in the world forever. I'm thinking Seth might regret saying some things. However, Seth coming out, Katie and Chris coming out, what does that do? It's a double-edged sword. Why is it a double-edged sword, Michelle, I hear you say? Well, it keeps Sebastian out there. It keeps YouTubers, social media, TikTokers talking about the case. I understand Tony Mathis and other people who absolutely hate the drama. I don't like the drama. I don't do the drama. But when you've got a new interview to discuss, you've got something new, something tangible to talk about. Yes, it creates revenue. It creates revenue for those whose channels parents have gone on. It creates revenue for people like me who talk about those interviews. I've got absolutely no problem with people making money on YouTube as long as it's not exploitative. I hope I get the balance right. Maybe some people think I don't get that balance right, but I personally think I get the balance right. Anyway, it's not about me, is it? No. Let's put it this way. How many missing people are out there in the United States alone? How many missing children are out there in the United States alone? Thousands and thousands and thousands. We've had this conversation before on this channel. Many other people have had this conversation as well. How come the vast majority of missing people get absolutely no coverage on social media, in the mainstream media, anywhere? Even when their families are clamouring for people to take on the case, it gets virtually no traction. I can show you the views that I get on my videos. Let's do that. The first time I talked about Sebastian Rogers was over on Michelle Walks. Now, Michelle Walks gets less views than Michelle After Dark anyway, but I have a Where Is series over there. And if you like the coverage on this channel and you don't know that I've got a second channel, go and check it out. But on March the 1st, I did my first video as part of my Where Is series. Where Is Sebastian Rogers from Hendersonville, Tennessee? And it got 2,700 views. That's it today, 2,700 views. Okay? And the reason why I started following Sebastian's case was because quite a few people contacted me and said, can you cover Sebastian Rogers? And virtually no one was covering his case at the time. Madeline Soto, her case, she went missing on the same day that Sebastian did. Although she wasn't a missing person, she'd been murdered. And a few days later, her body was found. Stefan Stearns was arrested for horrible abuse. And once that case had kind of died down a little bit, people started to look at Sebastian's case a little bit more. Also, I think the Riley Strain case brought some people over to Sebastian's case, same area, within a few miles of each other. But it wasn't until the parents did an interview that the case really took off. Let me show you my views. I've got a playlist. We've now got 51 videos in this playlist, including all the videos. Alright, so 2.7, 4.3, 22k. And I don't get massive amount of views on any case that I cover because I don't do the drama. 32k. 31k. 39. 30. So some of my videos, 52k. Some of the videos have got decent amounts of views. The majority, nowhere near those channels that cover the drama aspects. So where am I going with this argument? Right. When the parents in any missing child's case are controversial, think Summer Wells. Right? Where are the people covering Summer Wells now? Now that Don Wells has stopped making a fool of himself on YouTube. Where are they? Nothing new on Summer's case, nothing new to cover. So there's nothing to talk about. And it will be the same, I promise you, I swear down, it will be the same for Sebastian. If the new spokesperson thinks that people will continue to follow the case when there's no panel after panel interview to talk about, I'm telling you he's wrong. I'm telling you 100% he's wrong. Now, it's a double-edged sword, because the more the parents come out talking, the more controversy there is, the worse it gets for those parents. They're hounded, absolutely vilified, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying parents of missing children need to come out, create controversy to get their child's case out there. But that's kind of what needs to happen for a missing persons case to gain any kind of traction. It's sad, but that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. Now, in the last couple of days, one of Seth Rogers' PIs, Heather Cohen, she's left. She explained her rationale, she explained her reasoning, but it's a shame because I think she was making some headway and gaining the trust of law enforcement. This new guy, Tony Mathis, will he get the same success or the same level of, trust? Because law enforcement have lost trust in Seth because he's been so vocal. So again, it's a double-edged sword. Because he's been so vocal, law enforcement aren't going to give him the time of day. Does it mean they stop investigating? No. It just means that they don't tell him stuff to protect the integrity of the investigation. SF Investigates, private investigator, not worked on this case, but has been in contact with the PIs, and he works on a bunch of other cases. And he's been very scathing towards Tony Mathis. In fact, he says he's stepping away from Twitter until this case concludes, unless there are updates on his own cases. And he says this: the appointment of Tony Mathis as a spokesperson is the final straw for me. He lacks any experience in media relations or public relations. It seems like a calculated move. The removal of one of the private investigators, which Tony will frame as an everything is swell moment, who opened a dialogue with the TBI and Sumner County Sheriff, is a blow to the case, since they were the only person on Seth's team that law enforcement would talk with. Tony will never have that connection. Law enforcement simply won't collaborate with an individual who has 3 felonies for fraudulent check writing, 6 liens and 12 judgments against him. They won't associate with felons, which will isolate the entire Seth Rogers group, making them appear as cohorts taking direction from a felon. It's a damaging image, and one has to question why Seth is so desperate to involve someone like this. There must be something significant about to transpire. Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Whoever recommended this individual to Seth, and I generally have no idea, has cast a shadow on the entire missing persons community. We all look incompetent. Law enforcement will be so reluctant to ever work with private investigators after what has happened here. I've never witnessed a case like this, me neither. Many people, including the professionals, will suffer the consequences. I don't understand why they'd allow it. Why they chose this hill to die upon. My heart aches for Sebastian. This chaos is unfolding in his name. My God. I get it. Now look, what I've seen of Tony Mathis so far, I've not had any major issues with, apart from keeping Seth away, only going on certain channels. I get it. The double-edged sword again, I get it. I do. Because some of what Seth has said is damaging to Sebastian in the long term. But without it, Sebastian will just be another missing child. And people will move on to other cases where there's more drama. But also, there's more updates, more genuine updates. When you have PIs that quit, it begs the question, what's really going on? I give everybody a chance, and I'm giving this Tony Mathis guy a chance. They're going on News Nation tonight, apparently. They're going on Nancy Grace tomorrow. They're trying to get more nationwide media involved. But who has the bigger reach these days? Think about it. Who has the bigger reach? Collectively. Social media. Justin on TikTok asked Tony what people can do.
So this is the first thing you guys can do, is you can go join the Facebook group that is actually supported by Seth Rogers. And the name of that group is Find Sebastian Rogers. It's got 1.8 thousand members in it in one day. You're going to be able to go on that page. You're going to be able to download flyers. I mean, right now, the best thing you can do is not be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. Pass flyers out. Talk about the case in a positive way. Pray. Let law enforcement do their job. In a situation like this, somebody says stop the drama and BS. That will help immensely. I mean, amen to that. That's spot on. But if you want to get actively involved, there's nobody telling anybody they can't go to Hendersonville, Tennessee and start searching. I mean, if you got a week, you want to donate some of your time, make sure you got permission to search where you're searching. But there's nothing wrong with going and getting in the woods or the weeds. And, if you'll reach out to the administrators of that Facebook page, they can tell you what they'd like to see searched. Flyer distribution is incredible.
All right. This is the Facebook group. It's now got 2.2k members. Find Sebastian Rogers. So the first thing you can do is join this Facebook group. There's so many Facebook groups out there about Sebastian. Now, this might be one that's endorsed by Tony Mathis, endorsed by Seth, and presumably the admins will keep it cleaner. But think about this. The case is over 2 months old. How many people have been out there searching? How many people? Loads. How many people have been driven off who had the reach to really draw people in to go out and search? Those people were criticised. You get more volunteers out there searching. Great, fantastic. But you can't endorse certain volunteers going out there searching who will potentially trample over important evidence, don't know what they're doing, don't know not to touch stuff, thinking that they're helping. But on the other side, you can't have people who did do that in the early days, who were criticised for doing that, for potentially tramping over evidence. You can't have it both ways. And I know Tony Mathis wasn't involved then. I'm just talking generally. That Tony Mathis has come into this case 2 months down the line. All of the things that he's saying have been done and people have been driven away. The search grids that I showed yesterday from SF Investigates. If Sebastian is deceased, I believe he's north of his home. Not too far away, if he's deceased. Based on the little information that we've got. Basically, the dog track, basically that he's not been caught on any cameras that we know about. That's the place he has to be if he's deceased. Otherwise, if he was wandering about on the roads, somebody would have seen him. He'd have been caught on cameras. Now, SF Investigates did comment to my video yesterday. Great video, thank you for showing the search grids I put together. It's so important to realise that search and rescue is not a thorough, complete coverage of an area. We are looking for a live person that we assume will notice us if we don't notice them first. For that reason, we do not need to cover every square foot. So we hasty search. The search, rescue, recovery is different. Then we have to cover all the areas. So once the person is dead, they're not going to hear searchers coming along and make themselves known, are they? No. It cannot be assumed that permission was received to search every property when the searches were ongoing. People could have been out of town, or there might not have been main residences. I think the focus needs to focus on the 0.4 arc out of the 2.4 arc, with very heavy emphasis between the 0.4 and the 1 mile arc. Just yesterday, we saw another case in Oregon of a woman missing 7 months. Massive search and rescue efforts by aircraft, land, canine and drone took place. A private company drone mapped the area for the family and found her a couple of days ago. After being missing 7 months, she was just 2 miles from her last known sighting. It happens time and time and time again. I'll bring up the case of Bryn Hargreaves until my dying day. Bryn Hargreaves missing for 14 months out of West Virginia. Loads of searches, both professional volunteers, they had PIs on the case, and he was found by chance 300 yards away from his home, across the street in a wooded area. So difficult when someone is deceased, where they're not lost and, you know, they hear someone coming up, they see something in the sky, they hear a dog in the undergrowth and they start shouting and moving towards that sound. Now, would an autistic child, a scared child, we know actually take autism out of the equation completely. We know sometimes children who are lost don't do that because they're scared. They hear a noise and they hide more and they're scared. They think they're going to be in trouble, so they hide. Was that Sebastian? Maybe. In the early days, maybe. I dread to think. Which is why they were playing like his favourite songs, to hopefully draw him out. But it's absolutely the case that there are properties out there where permissions haven't been given and those places haven't been searched. So just telling people to go out and search, great. Going back to square one, starting from scratch, is a good thing. But let's be very careful to get this right. And I'll say again, every single inch of those woods north of Sebastian's home need to be searched, because if he's deceased, I truly believe he's there. So I'm open-minded. I'm going to give this Tony Mathis guy a chance. But like the Summer Wells case, once the parents stop making fools of themselves or making controversial statements, that child just becomes another one of the thousands and thousands of missing cases out there. I hope I'm wrong. All right, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh my God. Cassie! Right, well, that...